Hello, everybody. It's a huge honor to be here representing this small, humble volcano in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, Capelinhos volcano. A small volcano that changed the world of volcanology. A small volcano in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, as I said. Changed it, why? Because it was the first one, it was the first submarine volcano to be fully observed, monitored, and documented throughout all its activity. So we have heard the previous presentations that volcanic eruptions aroused curiosity in the scientific community. But this was the first time that a submarine eruption was finally observed by scientists. This work was made, it was a teamwork made by me and Professor João Carlos Nunes and Andrea Porteiro, other two geologists from the Azores UNESCO Global Geopark. So Azores, Capelinhos. Capelinhos is located in Faial Island in the Azorean archipelago. We are in the North Atlantic Ocean. This is a Portuguese autonomous region and the outermost region of the European Union. This archipelago is composed of 9 islands and several islets. They are characterized by the reduced dimension of the islands. We can say between 17 and 745 square kilometers, very small islands. By its dispersion, we are distributed along 600 kilometers in the Atlantic, and also for its distance from the European and American continents. We are talking about 1,800 kilometers from the mainland Portugal and around 2,600 kilometers from Canada. So really far away from almost everything. The islands are organized in 3 groups, as you can see there. The western group with Flores and Corvo Islands, the central group with Faial, Pico, São Jorge, Graciosa and Terceira Island, and the eastern group with islands of São Miguel and Santa Maria. The Azorean archipelago emerged in a very complex geodynamical context in the junction of 3 tectonic plates, the American plate, the Eurasian plate, and the African or Nubian plate. This context, associated with the possible existence of an hotspot, created a volcanism-friendly area. The specific setting allowed the formation of these islands and also justifies the intense seismic and volcanic activity that still today is felt in this area of the globe. There are several theories and interpretations for the geological setting of the Azores. In the bibliography, one can find terms like Azorean microplate, Azorean block, triple junction. The truth is that regardless the exact location of these boundaries, the truth is that here there is a slightly triangular area which is the consequence of an important tectonic setting that can be observed in many of the islands, and it's also testified by the accumulation of so many earthquakes that you can see in the picture there that define more or less these boundaries that are for sure conditioned by the existence of the mid-Atlantic ridge here. And here we have Faial Island. Faial, the geology of this island is very simple, is very clear, and is very well explained through its landscapes when compared to other islands of the archipelago, for instance. The island was born around 800,000 years, creating a small shield volcano. It remains, the remains of this volcano you can see there in the yellow part and the east part of the island. The island continued to grow to west with the creation of the volcanic complex of Cedros around 410,000 years ago, creating the central caldera volcano, which dominates the morphology of Faial Island. The last two stages of formation of Fayal were mainly fissurial and characterized by the appearance of several small monogenetic volcanoes with less than 11,000 years, like Plataforma of Horta in pink there, and the Capelo Peninsula in the northwest of the island. This peninsula is formed by around 27 small monogenetic volcanoes, and as you can see there, they are all aligned. They come in a line of volcanoes with a northeast and southwest orientation. So they are constrained by the existence of several tectonic faults that cut the island with this same orientation. One of these volcanoes erupted in 1672, Cabeço do Fogo, already in historical times, and the other one, the last one, brought me here today, Capelinhos volcano. In the shore, there were already two small islets that you can see here, and they were the remains of another old volcano, an older volcano, but with similar characteristics to Capelinhos volcano. So around at 27th of September 1957, around 6 a.m. And around 1 kilometer away of the shoreline, this volcano burst from the sea at depths from 20 to 60 meters deep. The basaltic submarine eruption started with large explosions and the emission of black ash hurls, accompanied by a large column of steam and volcanic gases, with quiescent periods in between. During the early stages of this submarine phase, a small islet was formed. A few days later, the volcanic activity resumed and generated a second islet that was again destroyed, and finally a third one connected to the island of Fayal. It was amazing that we have pictures from almost every day and several pictures a day. So during this period of eruption, people observing the eruption, not only scientists, but mainly scientists, could see new lands being created in front of their eyes. The accumulation of volcanic ashes created an immense sea of ash, as you can see in this main picture. And this would change the configuration of this sea of ash would change in a matter of hours. So it was a very dynamic landscape. It was so intense that destroyed agricultural fields, broke houses because of the weight of the ashes accumulating in the roofs, and reached the neighbor islands of Pico and São Jorge. Finally, with the vents isolated from the sea, the volcano changed its behavior and was no longer a submarine volcano, was now a subaerial explosive volcano. And this phase, or the change from a submarine behavior to a subaerial behavior, was marked by an intense seismic crisis. From the night of the 12th to the 15th of May 1958, there were recorded around 450 earthquakes in one night. It was a very difficult and tough night for people living in these two villages close to the eruption, mainly Capelo and Praia do Norte. But due to the presence of scientists in this site and the support of local authorities, nobody was hurt during this catastrophic night. This new behavior of the volcano lasted about 5.5 months and was characterized by a moderate explosive activity with some effusive episodes in between. And during this phase, a scoria cone was formed and were projected basaltic pyroclasts of different sizes and types. Here we can see the landscape as it was at the end of the eruption. So finally, at 24th of October 1958, 13 months later, the eruption ended. During the eruption, the volcano erupted 174 million cubic meters of ash, covering the island and adding 2.4 square kilometers of area to Fayal Island. So you can see there the old shoreline and all the area created by this volcano that was erupting for 13 months. You also can see on the other picture that the landscape is very different than it was 65 years ago or 64 years ago. So due to erosion from these 2.4 square kilometers, today only a fourth is left. And like all landscapes, this one also tells us its story. It is just easier because it is so well documented that we can correlate the remaining outcrops with the existing maps on the evolution. It is also important to refer that the marks of this eruption are not only in the landscape. It's important to refer that people still remember this eruption. So it's still in an emotional, also in economical, cultural, and social frame. So this eruption attracted the world's attention. Social media were already expanding, so it was taken abroad. And due to its geological characteristics, but also due to its location. This volcano erupted very close to an inhabited island, only 1 kilometer away of the shoreline, with a lighthouse that had a road providing access to this shoreline, with telephones, so providing perfect shelter for scientists that would go to observe this eruption. We had geostars, we can say, visiting this site. There, Arun Taziev, who made a documentary after about this eruption of Capelinhos volcano. So many other scientists, international scientists like Adrian Richards, for instance, also visited Capelinhos during the eruption several times. And it's also important to refer the national scientists like Orlando Ribeiro, the father of geography in Portugal, that fully studied and documented the eruption with his pupil who is there, Dr. Raquel Soeiro de Brito. So we will find national and international information on the eruption of Capelinhos volcano. It's also used as a key example for submarine eruptions in books. In this well-known encyclopedia of volcanoes, you will find there the description of Capelinhos volcano being a key example for the explaining or the explanation of this kind of eruption. It's also a field laboratory today to study the appearance of life, how vegetal species appear and develop in newly formed volcanic areas. So Capelinhos became one of the best documented phreatomagmatic volcanoes in the world, and all those studies allowed new knowledge and appeared or opened a new page in the understanding of submarine eruptions. Thank you very much.